I've been making a lot of these shoe cabinets lately. I use these steel hinges that they sell on Amazon. The problem is that they seem to never come with instructions, and I couldn't find any good videos on the topic either. This video focuses primarily on the installation of the hinges, although it does touch on other important aspects of this build. First, I'll name the parts of the cabinet to keep things clear. I'll refer to this outer structure as the box. This is the cabinet face. I'll call these the dividers, and these black steel pieces are the hinges. These silver pieces are the stops. They set the start and end point of the hinge's range of motion. These are 3-layer hinges, which can have up to 3 dividers. I chose to leave 1 divider out so I can fit bike helmets in my cabinet. There are also 1 and 2-layer hinges available. For the 3-layer hinges, I make my box 33 centimeters deep by 45 centimeters tall. The length is up to you. To start, I'll turn the box on its side. This is the top, and this is the bottom. This is what comes in the package. The 2 hinges are mirror versions of each other. The cabinet I'm making today will be built into a closet and will sit on the floor. That's why the bottom of the box is open. This first piece of scrap wood will simulate where the floor will be. If your box bottom is closed, just slide your hinge up against the bottom. The second scrap of wood is used as a spacer. It needs to be the same thickness as your cabinet face. The face must be inset. It can't overlay the front of the cabinet or the hinge won't be able to move. Set this piece carefully, exactly where you want your cabinet face to sit, and then clamp it into place. Push the hinge as far as it goes against the bottom of the box and the cabinet face spacer. Then mark the center of the hole. Use an awl to perforate the center spot. This tiny hole will help guide your drill bit to make a precisely located hole. This is the included hardware. We'll worry about the stops at the end. Here's a quick look at how it fits together. Don't worry, we'll see this again. This piece with the ribbed sides is going to be embedded into the side of the box, where the hole is marked. Find a drill bit with the same or slightly smaller diameter as this piece. You want to get a tight fit. In this case, I used a 5/8 Spade bit. A Forstner bit would be better, but I don't have the right size. The problem with the Spade bit is that by the time I hit the right depth, its long tip starts to come through the other side of the box. In this case, it doesn't matter because the sides of this cabinet won't be accessible when I install it in the closet. I'd recommend testing on a scrap piece of wood the first time around before making a hole in your cabinet. You can tap this piece in with a hammer, or, as a gentler alternative, you can use a clamp and a piece of wood to push it in. Now I repeat the same process on the other side. The hinge is installed like this. To figure out the length of the dividers, I measure the length of the cabinet's opening and subtract 1 centimeter. The first time around, I figured this out by slowly cutting down the length of a divider until it fit perfectly. This is where the face attaches to the hinge, and these slots can accept dividers. To figure out the height of the dividers, I measured the slots. The 2 middle slots are 15 centimeters tall, and the rear slot is about 12 centimeters. The bottom slot is 14 centimeters. Double check the measurements on the specific hinges that you bought. I'm using 3/4 inch material, and these little tabs are going to get in the way. Feel free to bend over any of the tabs. The dividers will be screwed into place, so the tabs are really just guides. I use the awl again to start the holes for the screws. I'm going to leave this slot open so the bike helmets fit. do a test fit to make sure everything's on the right track. Now we're going to install the cabinet face. You have to leave a space at the bottom to allow for the movement of the cabinet face. I'll demonstrate from a side view with a scrap of wood. Do this test to figure out what gap you need to leave, as it will depend on the thickness of your cabinet face. In this case, the gap will be 3 centimeters. Now we can do another test to see if we need a gap at the top. You can see here that the face moves freely with a minimal gap, so you could have a pretty tight gap if you prefer. The center divider is going to be in the way, so remove it. I cut a piece of scrap wood to 3 centimeters thick to act as a spacer for the bottom gap. It's not necessary to secure it in place, but I'm going to screw it down so I don't have to worry about it moving. Later, I'm going to install a trim piece using the same screw holes so they won't be visible anyway. I'll use playing cards as shims. Push the cabinet face all the way to one side. Then, fit as many cards as you can into the gap on the other side. Divide this number of cards by 2 and put that number of cards in each side to get a perfectly spaced gap. The cards should fit snugly enough to hold the cabinet face in place while marking these screw holes. Remove the cards in the spacer and perforate the marked spots with an awl. Next, remove the hinge and divider assembly. Line up the holes and screw the face into place. Put everything back together. I'm not a big fan of this gap, so I figured out how to make a trim piece that minimizes it. I cut a roughly 30-degree angle on the bottom edge of the cabinet face. The trim piece has the same angle cut in the opposite direction. Once installed, this angle allows the two pieces to pass very closely without hitting. To figure out the height of the trim piece, I gradually cut it smaller on the table saw, testing it each time to get the perfect fit. To install the stops, hold your cabinet face where you want its top position to be and place a stop against it. Mark the screw holes with an awl and then screw the stop into place. Then repeat on the other side. If you buy these hinges on Amazon, keep in mind that many brands are selling the exact same product under different names and sometimes very different prices. You can usually tell by looking at the pictures. If you do some searching, sometimes you can find them for half as much. Thanks for watching, and leave a comment if you have any questions.